Hello and welcome to Talk Time. My guest today is Swami Sudhananda Giri, a monastic disciple of Paramhansa Yogananda, who founded the Yogada Satsang Society of India in 1917 and described as the father of yoga in the West, and of course, the author of the path-breaking book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Swami Sudhananda Giri, welcome to my show. I have to ask this question. You are an alumni of IIT Chennai, or today IIT Madras. You are an electrical engineer by training. You worked at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center on plasma physics. And suddenly we see you here in this state. You are a monastic disciple of Paramhansa Yoganandaji. You have devoted your life to yoga, meditation, spiritualism. What was the trigger? How did you become a monk at the end of the day?
Yeah, I was into research on electrical power generation.
Okay.
It was called magnetohydrodynamics, part of plasma physics.
Yeah.
Then I found that I was not really firing on all cylinders.
Okay.
So that means I was concentrating only on the materialistic side. Then that is the time I had read Autobiography of a Yogi, and that gave me a deep insight what life is all about. So then the inner call came from me. I got the inner call that I should dedicate my life to serving God and the humanity, and give myself completely to that. So then I changed gears, and instead of electrical power generation, I got into spiritual power generation.
Spiritual power generation. You have been lecturing both in India and abroad ever since. Your headquarters of the Yogada Satsang Society of India is in Ranchi, and you are of course based out of Calcutta. Your ashram is near Dakshineshwar, but that's not the point. Point is, you have been generally talking in sync with Paramhansa Yoganandaji's philosophy. You have been talking about need for balance in life, especially modern life, and you just talked about that you are focusing only on material side, and then today you are firing from all cylinders, particularly in the most critical sphere, that is the realm of spiritualism, because the world itself has become so materialistic.
Yes. So, we discover that if you are truly balanced, because we have three faculties: spiritual faculty, intellectual and emotional faculty, and the physical faculty. If all the three faculties we develop in a uniform way, then we find that we are very peaceful, we are very happy. This is what God has intended for the humanity. There is a divine plan is there. As per the divine plan, we are supposed to develop all the faculties in a uniform way.
Now you see, the ancient Indian sages, we are a nation of sages, seers. They have devised something called inner technology. Many centuries ago.
Yes.
Yeah, inner technology. So it is nothing new for us. So can you explain this inner technology as enunciated by our own sages to come up with a balanced life, how to live a balanced life?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, this imbalance between outer technology and inner technology, that is the cause of tension and unrest and all problems.
Yeah.
So we learn how to harness the energy and make it work for us in the outside. But we don't realize we have tremendous energies inside. God has given us that, what is called prana, with which we function. So if we learn to control that prana, then we learn that inner technology. This is what our rishis and munis have discovered long ago, centuries ago, that there is a way to control this inner energy, prana, that is a pranayam. By controlling the prana, then we learn to discover the divinity within. Divinity is, you can say, sort of sleeping within, that is to be awakened. So by controlling the energy and turning within, then we discover the inner dimension, and we discover a new world in the inner world.
Now, this path-breaking book, this is the book Autobiography of a Yogi, written in 1946
Yes.
by Paramhanch Yoganandji, who was the founder of the Yogada Satsang Society of India. Now, yesterday, I mean, this week at least, on, to be precise, on the 19th of
this
November,
Yes.
the Chief Minister of Assam, Sarbanand Sonowal, launched this Assamese version of this book, Autobiography of a Yogi. The picture you see here is that of Paramhanch Yoganand. Now, this book is a path-breaking book. This has been global acclaim. This has received global acclaim. This book talks about the science of meditation. It talks about the cosmic consciousness. It talks about the unity of purpose of all religions. That was his philosophy. So, would you like to describe this book? What, in your words, is this book all about? The Autobiography of a Yogi.
Yes. One can very well see the universality, the universal appeal of this book. Because right now, with the Assamese language, now we have this book available in 50 languages
50 languages.
in all, total. And almost more than 90% of the population, they can read in their own mother tongue. This is throughout the world.
Yeah.
So that shows how this book appeals to everyone of various religions, various backgrounds, various countries. There's a universal appeal in this. That is because it cuts across all the dimensions and then goes to the common thing, which is common for all, every person in the world, for the humanity. That is what we are all striving for, what we are looking for in life. What is the purpose of life? Why we have come here?
Yeah.
So it focuses on that. Especially the last chapter I would recommend for the readers.
Last chapter.
49th chapter, which gives in a nutshell what we are all looking for. The one thing is...
So Paramhanch Yoganandji is described as the father of yoga in the West. Okay?
Yes.
Now my question to you, do you think today, has it been the reverse impact of yoga, that yoga is so well received in the West, but in India it is there, but again in India it is linked with religion. So many would like to say, or at least some would like to say, oh, yoga is a symbol of Hinduism, so there are a lot of restrictions, etc. So how do you look at it?
Yes, yoga is actually the science of religion, which goes to the root of religion. In fact, you will be very happy to know, few days before, the President of India had visited our ashram in Ranchi, and there was a big function. During that, he released the translation of Bhagavad Gita in Hindi, Ishwar Arjun Samvad. At that time, the President made a remark that where religion ends, spirituality begins.
Where religion ends, spirituality begins.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that says a lot.
Yes.
How would you like to interpret it?
Yeah, so yoga gives us a methodology of that. Spirituality is something to be attained inside. It is not something to be talked about, which is to be experienced. So by the practice of the essence of yoga, that science of religion, then you start discovering that.
So basically, spiritualism is beyond religion.
Exactly. It unites all the religions. It doesn't divide.
So there is a message for those section of people today who tries to politicize yoga for whatever reasons.
Yeah, actually, Paramhanch Yoganandji said, reform yourself and you will reform thousands. If individuals practice this and discover within themselves a paradise which they can carry everywhere, that's why he used the word portable paradise.
Portable paradise.
Wherever you go, you scatter vibrations of love, peace, joy, friendship, brotherhood, kindness, all these qualities, So it comes spontaneously when you experience God within first.
On that note, we shall go for a short break now. Stay on. When I come back, I shall continue this fascinating conversation with Swami Sudhanand Giri. Welcome back. I am in conversation with Swami Sudhanand Giri of the Yogada Satsang Society, a monastic disciple of Paramhanch Yoganand, who is the author of the path-breaking book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Swamiji, we have been talking about success, we have been talking about spiritualism. Now, today, religion in the context of, let's talk about India. It's a diverse country, it's the home of some of the greatest religions in the world. Why do you think religion is so important in today's political scenario? Why can we not have politics in the social discourse, in the political discourse? Can we not move forward without bringing in religion? What do you think?
Exactly. Actually, as we said already, spirituality begins where religion ends. So, if you practice the spiritual principles in life, religion gives the rudimentary, basic, foundation principles. But after that, you just go to higher and higher levels, which is the real spirituality. So, once you practice that, then you discover how to function as a human being and how to function as a child of God. Once you discover that, then all this, whichever field you are serving, political field or social field or educational field or whichever, you find that you are able to function at your peak level.
So do you call that level cosmic consciousness, which you received at the upper levels of yoga?
That is the highest
yoga
level,
practice.
the pinnacle of realization.
That the common man cannot hope to achieve.
Surely, everybody can achieve that.
Everybody can.
This is what Paramahansa Yogananda says in the autobiography, last chapter.
Okay.
A common man is not denied the self-realization. What he needs to do is to practice. He has to practice the principles of scientific yoga, that is controlling the prana, energy, and a desire to know the truth, that is a devotion to God, you can say.
Now.
And follow the principles of righteousness, which is given in all religions, ethical codes in all religions. So with these three things, common man also can reach the pinnacle of his evolution.
That's a very, very significant thing which you have mentioned, Swamiji. India, again, for the lack of time, I'm jumping from one question to another because I want to pick your thoughts. India is a young country. 65% of India's population are around the age of 30-35 years, which is our huge demographic dividend which we have. That means we have to channelize the energy of these youths in the right direction. My question to you, Swamiji, is this. Today, because of the intermingling of religion and politics, which you seem to be against. Now, my question to you is this. How do you channelize the energy of the youth in the right direction? Because they are achieving at a goal, they want to achieve success, but they have been misled by forces along the way.
I had quoted to you incident which happened in Germany, where the youth on their own, they brought out these 3 points about balancing material success and the spiritual life,
inner happiness,
etc. So you see that when a person thinks on his own or on her own, they will discover this, because the voice of conscience which has been given by God to everyone, that tells us exactly what is right, what is wrong. If we follow that voice, then we'll do the right thing.
So there is a need to introspect. So what is your appeal? What is your call to the boys and girls of today? What is your call to the youths of this country?
Yes, they have to discover all the dimensions and develop all the faculties in a uniform way. That means keep the body fit, with full of energy, and keep good health. Because without keeping the body in a good condition, you can neither achieve material success nor spiritual success. So it's very important to keep the body fit. Then develop the powers of the mind. And also learn to control the emotions, because that is very important, which recent studies emphasize on emotional intelligence, that is becoming aware of the emotions going inside and how to regulate them, change the corrosive emotions into positive emotions and all that. This is very important. And the spiritual side, discover the divinity within.
Discover the divinity within.
Yes.
So, do you think in this kind of a scenario, which you have said some very, very significant things, Swamiji, now, see, how much we want politics to remain keep away from religion, that doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, you have to get votes, you have to polarize people, and you have to win an election. So, but that is not, life is not just about grabbing power. Life is about a lot of other things which you have just said in such a simple and beautiful manner. My question to you is this. Is there need for various religious leaderships in this country to meet, talk, discuss? That is not happening. Everybody is maybe doing good work on their own, But do you think there is a necessity today, because of various things, for all these religious leaders at times on and off to meet, discuss, and take things forward and clear the mess?
That is true. At the outer level, we need to come together and discuss. But more important is, within each person, the divinity is there. That is to be discovered. Once I discover the divinity within, I would automatically see the divinity in everyone.
Now, why do people flock to God-men? Are you comfortable with the word God-men? Why do people flock to God-men? I'm not generalizing. I see a distinction between spiritual leaders or spiritual gurus and God-men. Many of them are self-styled God-men. Why do people flock to God-men, quote unquote?
See, each one of us, we want to realize that we are one with God. As our Upanishads tell us, Aham Brahmasmi, and also we find in the passage in the Bible, I and my Father are one. So, this we want to discover that. We want to realize that I am part of the cosmic consciousness. I am one with the cosmic consciousness. So, this desire is innate in everyone. So, we want to realize that. So, in the process, sometimes we may tend to just discover some shortcuts. We may think that without much effort, I can just easily get something. But it doesn't work.
So you are not comfortable generally with the term God-man?
Yeah, actually each one of us, we are all God-men. It's not
everyone is a God-man, because
yes.
you have to connect with God at the end of the day.
We are all children of God.
The search for God is a continuous process.
Yes, exactly.
At the end of the day.
Yes.
On that note, we shall go for another short break. Stay on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm still in conversation with Swami Sudhanand Giri. Swamiji, I mean, Paramahansa Yoganand, he is generally described as the father of yoga in the West.
Yes.
It is his campaigns, it is his, the book particularly that aroused interest in yoga, and he has done a lot, and he has been described as the father of yoga in the West. My question to you is not that. My question to you, do you think yoga today is so readily accepted in the West? What do you think are the pull factors?
You see, yoga also has various facets. What is commonly known as yoga is the practice of Hatha Yoga or the practice of asanas to keep the body fit. But the real yoga is the Raja Yoga.
Raja Yoga.
Which is what we have in the Bhagavad Gita as well as in the New Testament, where it says the kingdom of God is within you. In the Bible it says, and Bhagavan Krishna says, Ishwaraha sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati, which says that we have to discover the divinity within. Interestingly, Quran also says exactly the same thing. That means you remember your God within yourself. That's what Quran says. So that means we have to go within and then discover the divinity. So
go within and discover the divinity.
Exactly.
The challenge lies, on each one of us.
Yes, exactly. Because normally our attention is always on the outside. So by the practice of yoga, the real yoga, we learn how to go inside.
Do you believe in miracle healings, deathless saints, saints who don't die?
Yes, surely, because these are very natural. If one discovers that cosmic consciousness, one is one with the Creator, then nothing is impossible. One can have any sort of, anything can be done. But we don't focus on that. Our main point is what we should be doing now in order to progress, in order to make spiritual evolution. So we master the simple ABCs of spiritual life. If we do that, gradually we will be discovering, inevitably, we will be discovering those higher states of consciousness, which will be accompanied by phenomenal experiences.
See, you have traveled all across India. You are meeting people from different walks of life, from different professions.
Yes.
Everybody comes and meets you. Everybody is in search of something. Let's simplify it. Everybody wants happiness at the end of the day and good health. Now, do you think a time has come today? We are in such a crossroad that do you think today spiritualism, real spiritualism, is at a premium? Is that the reason why for people like you it has become much more of a challenge to actually propagate spiritualism and the spiritual facets of life?
Actually, it comes...
How easy or difficult, if you compare, say, 3 decades ago?
In fact, I find it, the receptivity is much more now than before. because I find the younger generation, they want to cut across all the superficialities and the conventions, etc., and discover the reality or discover the truth. So it's much easier to relate to them. So I find it in fact easier now than before.
So why do you think these changes come about?
Yeah, it is because each one of us, we got the innate drive to discover what is truth. So if you just go by that and become real spiritual adventurers, then we have to discover this.
So how does communication, how does social media, how does science and technology, do you think they're also responsible for the change in the mindset of the people?
Exactly. Because globalization is bringing everybody together. Now we are able to appreciate the diversity of so many people. But the challenge is how to discover the unity in diversity.
How to discover the unity in diversity. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Swamiji, I mean, do you think, things are going to be better? What do you think of India's future? We have got such a huge youth population. And do you think people will stop fighting at any point of time in the name of religion or communities? Do you think that day will come in this country?
Yeah, I have a lot of hope that I see a lot of positive, direction in which we are headed. Because once we start discovering the truth and live by the truth, naturally progress has to come. So, and I see the trend now more and more.
So, why are you so convinced?
Yeah, it is because I am seeing that change in the approach, the way we look at life. We don't just simply accept what other people tell us, what the society tells us.
Yeah.
We want to just discover what is correct, what is truth, by fearlessly examining and checking what is true.
Absolutely. Swami Sudanand Giriji, thank you so much for being on my show. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and we wish you all the best, and let your Yogada Satsang Society continue its good work all across India and outside. Thank you very much once again for being on my show.
Thank you.
Pleasure.